Yes, I can say good morning and thank you for giving me this opportunity to
Доброе утро и спасибо за предоставленную возможность быть интервьюированным и за предоставленную возможность делиться информацией о моей стране. Мы затронули одну из главных проблем, с которыми моя страна сталкивается все эти годы. Гражданская война, которая на самом деле началась в 1991 году. Если кратко говорить об истории этой войны, то она произошла из-за конфликта в Либерии, на границе с Либерией к востоку от Сьерра-Леоне.
And then it was a spillover from Liberia to Sierra Leone to the east of Sierra Leone.
Конечно, эта война разрушила структуру и экономику страны, нанесла урон населению. Очень много людей были убиты.
But significantly also, it left many people maimed. There were so many people killed. Some estimates suggest that nearly 50,000 people were killed during the war. And there are some estimates that are lower. Yes, if you go to Sierra Leone today, you will see some scars of the war, but by and large, Sierra Leone has done very well. Because I can remember in 2002, immediately when the war was declared ended, I went to Sierra Leone, and then you can hardly see that there was war in the country. But unfortunately, recently, I got a rude awakening when I visited Kono in the east, and then while driving around, you can actually see the devastating effect the war had on that particular diamond-ferrous city, because on every street that we drove, there were houses that were burned. And then also today, if you go around Freetown, you will see people who are disabled, who were maimed during the war. So yes, there are still some scars of the war around, but Sierra Leone has moved on from that 11-year civil war. I don't think there is... we cannot rule out conflict.
К сожалению, мы не можем избавиться навсегда от конфликтов. Они часть человеческой природы, часть политики.
But I cannot see the possibility of a resurgence of the RUFP, the Revolutionary United Front, for the simple fact that at the end of the war, there was demilitarization and demobilization of all combatants, and significantly, the RUFP turned itself into RUFP, a political party. So, and they are actively participating in the politics of Sierra Leone. So I cannot really see a resurgence of the RUF, though, as I've said earlier, you can never rule out conflict in any country in the world. But I think Sierra Leone is at peace with itself. It's probably one of the most peaceful countries in the world. The people are very, very peaceful. The people don't like conflict. They don't like war. So I cannot see the RUF coming back in Sierra Leone. If I cannot see, I don't envisage a major war coming back to Sierra Leone. The child's shoulder was a very prominent thing during the war because the RUF, although it is suggested that all sides in the war, including the government forces, recruited children to fight, but most of the RUF relied more on children to fight in the war front. Yes, most of the children have been rehabilitated. I can't say there were any intensive programs to actually address the post-traumatic stress that most of those children witnessed, and some of the children themselves were used
Некоторые дети использовались как оружие во время войны, и они совершали серьезные преступления. Дети, которые были демобилизованы, получили места в школах. Если вы пойдете в Сьерра-Леоне сейчас, я уже говорил, у нас мир. Не могу сказать, что есть еще люди, которые страдают послевоенным синдромом.
Who may be carrying the post-stress disorder in relation to the war. Of course, probably one or two
Может быть,
or
несколько
three,
человек еще имеют проблемы, но большинство населения живет счастливо среди своих семей. Они ходят в школу без каких-либо ментальных проблем. Конечно, мы боролись с проблемами сразу после войны. Мы обсуждали это с советниками в правительстве сразу после войны, чтобы дети возвращались в школу после войны.
We weren't too equipped with counselors to counsel the children. The children just went back to school. But
Наша страна и наши дети очень стойкие. Сразу после окончания войны мы вернулись обратно к жизни. Сейчас этим детям около 20 и более лет. Дети счастливы. О них заботится государство.
One can say that these children have suffered from war, and then you can see the scars of war with them. So, yeah, and they are happy. They are being looked after by the state. As you know, Sierra Leone belongs to the to few international organizations.
Как вы знаете, Сьерра-Леоне принадлежит нескольким международным организациям: ООН, Содружество африканских государств, Объединение содействующих стран. Также Сьерра-Леоне принадлежит организациям, которые входят в ассоциации с ООН.
Sierra-Leone belongs to most of the UN affiliated organizations. But as an ideology, Sierra Leone is a non-aligned country. It's never been aligned to any specific ideology. Sierra Leone is friends with every country in the world and every ideology in the world. As a developing country, I think that's a very good strategy not to be too aligned with any one particular ideology. So, you know, your politics is not misconstrued, and then we've maintained very good multilateral and bilateral relationships with all nations in the world. Very, very good relationships in the world, particularly with the former Soviet Union, and then that relationship has continued. A very good relationship has continued with Russia. In relation to the war crimes you referred to after the 11-year civil war, a special court was set up, facilitated or likely sponsored by the International Committee and championed by the United Nations. And then those who were found to have committed the highest crimes were actually tried, processed within the special court, and then most of them were jailed, were put into prison, and then after the special court, Sierra Leone also has a reconciliation conference, wherein, in fact, a reconciliation process, wherein people were amnesties were granted for a group of people. So to say there may be different schools of thoughts in regards to the process itself, the special court process itself, and the aftermath of the war, how it was handled.
Это не сильно повлияло на
To a very
страну.
large extent,
Мы вновь двигаемся вперед.
that has
Мы
not
прошли
affected
все
Sierra
ужасы
Leone. We
войны,
moved on from the
последствия
war,
войны.
and
И
then
люди
people
сейчас живут счастливо.
have accepted the process, outcome of the processes that followed the war, and then I can say we are living happily thereafter. Part signed up to the Kimberley process, and then this process actually came into force in the 2003. Is they call it Kimberley certification process, and then it was also sponsored by the UN resolution 5253, if I'm not mistaken. What it entails, the main requirements of that process, or what the process tried to do, was to stop conflict diamonds being emerged with other forms of diamonds. So diamonds coming from countries where they produce diamonds like ours will receive a certificate. So if a criminal gang or a conflict diamond is found that hasn't got certification, then that will be traced that it has been acquired illegally. And the reason why they were doing that, because in fact the Kimberley process has a long history. As far back as 1998, they found out that some rebel movements in the southern part of Africa were using proceeds from diamonds to actually sponsor their wars in those areas. So that was one of the reasons, and of course you've already mentioned about our own 11-year civil war, which diamond, the rush for diamonds may not be unconnected. Sales of diamonds may not be unconnected to that war. As I said earlier, one of the areas that was seriously devastated during the war, as I witnessed recently, was Kono, and Kono is our main source of diamonds in Sierra Leone, and the rebels stayed in that area for a long time. So, to make it sure, the Kimberley process or certification process was a way of stopping conflict diamonds from getting into mainstream diamonds. But as I said, there will be other people who may have different thoughts, because it's always diamond is always difficult to say where really it's coming from. But so far, yes, Sierra Leone is part of the process, and the government of Sierra Leone maintains a very strict adherence to the Kimberley process. Julius Maada Bio, His Excellency Julius Maada Bio, my president, assumed the mantle of state or leadership after when he won the elections 2018, April 4th. In fact, just a few days ago, the government celebrated first anniversary of His Excellency Julius Maada Bio, and he is a very disciplined person, very straightforward. And then I heard you mention about the military. He's actually not a military man, because he's a military trained, and he was a military man, but he's actually a civilian president. He took over power. They overthrew a civilian government in 1992, and that overthrow was actually referred to as a revolution. It was popularly acclaimed by all Sierra Leoneans that it was necessary, because they overthrew a dictatorial regime. And then he went for further studies abroad. And then he gained different degrees and educational accolades. He's a very bright guy. He's a very bright man. And then he came back into Sierra Leone politics,
страны.
and then he's been in Sierra Leone politics since 2005. And then in 2018, he got elected as president, representing the Sierra Leone People's Party. And then in his leadership, he has tried to be very accommodating of the opposition. He has tried to pursue national cohesion of the country, because he knows that without a national cohesion, it's difficult to run a country effectively. So this is what he's been trying. He's trying to do. And then, and also he's a very listening person. He's a very listening person. He hardly talks, but he's very decisive and then very disciplined and very strong, a very strong character. But above all, if I may add, he's a true patriot. He loves his country. He loves his country very much. And then I don't know whether any one of your questions is going to touch it. Some of the policies he has brought since he assumed power has actually got very loud or wide acclaimed among the citizens of Sierra Leone. Russia and Sierra Leone have had a very, very good relationship, and then which is almost more than 55 years. It's almost going to 57 years.
Россия и Сьерра-Леоне всегда имели хорошие отношения.
And Sierra Leone was
очень хорошие отношения.
The first, one of the first countries in independent Africa to actually establish diplomatic relations with the Soviet Union in 1962. And then we had a very kind of friendly relationship with Russia, with the Soviet Union, and now with Russia. We have maintained that relationship with Russia. Yes, you'll be surprised to learn that many Sierra Leoneans know about Russia, and they know that Russia can be very cold, because I get my family friends telling me that how is the cold in our local language, Creole.
Что Россия может быть замечательной страной.
But then I always tell them that the cold is gone now, because now we are in spring. So you can't say it's cold anymore. Even there is a friend recently, when I said to the friend, I'm actually now walking around without any kind of overcoat on me, or just my jacket. They are surprised. But yes,
конечно, многие граждане знают, что Россия очень великая страна. Первый человек в космосе был Гагарин. Будете удивлены, как много вещей сьерра-леонцы знают о России. Это удивительно.
You'll be surprised to know how many things that Sierra Leoneans know about Russia, but they know a lot about Russia. They know a lot. What I can say is Russia was very helpful during our Rebel War, that spilled over from Liberia. We benefited a lot from military hardware, military experts.
Кроме оружия и военных, Россия также предлагала нам экономическую помощь для решения военного конфликта и скорейшего завершения войны, для победы над противником. В дебатах ООН Россия оказала большую поддержку Сьерра-Леоне. Также Россия представляла много советов в процессе послевоенной реабилитации.
Russia was also very, very helpful in supporting the Sierra Leonean cause within the United Nations.
Россия играла важную роль и продолжает играть эту роль в нашей политике. Во время гражданской войны я учился и узнал, что советское правительство, потом российское правительство, помогало нашему правительству в борьбе с повстанцами.
Like every other nation that came to our aid,
Россия оказала большую поддержку в обучении. Тоже была огромная поддержка и огромное влияние. Я учился в бывшем СССР. 80% докторов из СССР, инженеры по электронике, гражданские инженеры, тоже проходили обучение в СССР. Многие студенты по медицине сейчас обучаются в России и обучались ранее. Также в рыболовной промышленности. Даже после развала СССР Россия помогала Сьерра-Леоне. 8 апреля приезжал президент, и мы продолжаем наши отношения. Мы снова развиваем отношения с россиянами, с властями. У нас очень хорошие отношения с Министерством иностранных дел, с другими министерствами.
Я выпускник Советского Союза и учился здесь в 80-90 году и получил магистра в международных отношениях. Я специалист в международных отношениях. Несмотря на то, что я поступил в другим вузах на Западе, но моя база началась здесь в Советском Союзе.
У нас огромное пространство для развития. Россия открыла свои двери Сьерра-Леоне. И надеюсь, что российские люди у власти откроют двери еще шире. Инвестиции, сельское хозяйство, туризм, образование. Конечно, мы проводим диалоги по взаимоотношению, сотрудничеству. Президент заявил, что наша экономика открыта для инвестиций. Бизнес может быть зарегистрирован в течение 24 часов. Мы открыты. Мы призываем российских бизнесменов к Сьерра-Леоне. Спасибо большое, что пригласили. Для меня это большая честь говорить о России с российскими людьми. Приглашайте в мою страну. Можете инвестировать, приезжать в качестве туристов, развивать наше образование. Многие россияне выигрывают от этого. Если вы вложите в сельское хозяйство Сьерра-Леоне, кофе, какао, конечно, это выгодно. Это хорошие инвестиции. Рыболовство, туризм. Сьерра-Леоне называют Гавайи Африки. И очень много причин для этого. Вы должны посетить, чтобы понять, почему это Гавайи Африки. Я бы хотел пригласить всех россиян в Сьерра-Леоне.